So we are merely a few days away from the unveiling of the Nintendo Switch 2, the big presentation to showcase the system, the games, the features of it, the hopeful improvement to online, but that hasn't stopped people from talking about what to expect from this showcase. And now it seems like we have potentially the launch window rollout for how the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be handled. And I have a few things I want to say about this. I have a few things that maybe not necessarily clarify, but push back on a little bit, because I do think that this does kind of make sense with some things, but I feel like some of the other things are being taken out of context a little bit and potentially need a little bit of clarification. But it's exciting to talk about. I'm really looking forward to this system, so let's just hop straight into this. This is coming to us from Insider Gaming, Tom Henderson. Tom is a reliable person within the gaming sphere, I feel, and they did a big write-up on the Nintendo Switch 2 and the launch plans for its games, because, I mean, that's what really matters at the end of the day, are games for the system. Now, I will have a link to this article in the description box down below. They run lots of ads, so go just click on it and leave it up in the background for a little bit so some ads run so that they get some money. But this is evidently an exclusive from Tom Henderson about the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 and the three-phase plan. With Nintendo Switch 2 just 1 week away from its official full reveal, this year's annual GDC was buzzing with talk around the future of the console. One such discussion was around the Nintendo Switch 2 launch date, which according to people that I spoke to at the event falls in June. Now that makes a lot of sense to me. I know that there's kind of a bit of a mindset out there that this would be a May release. That just doesn't make much sense to me to release the thing in May, roughly a month after you do this big unveiling. You got to let retailers, get pre-orders in, get the games in and stuff like that. Obviously, the Nintendo Switch 2 is still going to support physical media and all of that sort of stuff, and those kind of things take a little bit of time. You want retailers to be prepared, and that includes online retailers as well, because they'll, of course, be doing things, and then in-store pre-orders. So I think June makes great sense. I never bought into the May thing. You can hear me talk about that in previous Switch 2 related videos. So I think June makes perfect sense. So we do have the window of when this is going to come out, with it allegedly being June, but let's carry on. But that's not all, folks. According to various sources, the Nintendo Switch 2 will launch its games in a three-phase strategy, starting with primarily first-party games on launch. According to the sources, the second stage will arrive in October/November for third-party studios, most of which are expecting dev kits for the Switch 2 to be sent in June. Finally, it was said the third phase of games will be in the holiday period. So that's not necessarily crazy to think about as far as, doing games in stages, because like I said in previous videos, you don't want to blow your load and then just have all the games come out at once and then there's a bit of a dry spell after that. It's better to kind of stagger the games out. But this is where I kind of have to push back just a little bit, and I'm not doubting that Tom Henderson talked to people and this is what they said. I'm just doubting the level of people that he talked to, because basically what this is saying that is that third-party devs aren't getting Switch 2 dev kits until June, meaning that they won't be able to participate until the second stage in October and November, which makes absolutely no sense. Like, maybe smaller studios, smaller third-party developers, even indie companies and stuff like that, like, yeah, they'll probably have to wait a little bit to get those dev kits in June. But like your Capcoms, your Square Enixes, your Konamis, EA, like bigger third-party companies like that, they already have dev kits. Like, I could say that with 100% certainty, because they're going to have games available on the launch of the system. Like, it's not just going to be a couple Nintendo games and then that's it. They obviously want to have strong third-party relationships and things of that nature. So your bigger partners are going to have the dev kits so that they could bring their games over and get in on those launch day sales. I'm not necessarily saying that like everything is going to come out on launch day, but people seem to, kind of forget that like the first 3 months of a system, usually there's a lot of ports. Usually there's a lot of third-party developers on there. And then you also have the first-party stuff as well. Look at something like the Wii U, which had a ton of third-party support. Many people just think of the Switch and they're like, oh, well, you had Super Bomberman R, you had Breath of the Wild, and that was pretty much it. And yeah, that was because it was a different time frame. Companies didn't know like how successful the Switch 2 or the Nintendo Switch was going to be coming off of the Wii U, and they didn't want to get burned again like they did on the Wii U. So to say that like no third-party studios have a dev kit and no third-party games are going to be available until like October or November as far as the rollout is concerned, I'm just not buying that. You know, smaller companies, sure. You know, indie companies, of course. I think even some larger indie companies may have a dev kit, but, you know, that's just kind of my sort of theory with this. In addition to the talk of the 3-phase launch plan, Insider Gaming has also learned that select media and creators will be attending Nintendo Switch 2 hands-on event next week, where they'll get hands-on with the console and some of its launch games for a few hours. The Nintendo Switch 2 is scheduled to be fully revealed on April 2nd, so we expect more in-depth hardware coverage and perhaps some of its launch games too. A launch price along with the official dates are also expected to be announced during the event, and then they go on to talk about the direct that is allegedly happening this week as well. That's going to cost me a Sega Nomad, a modded Sega Nomad, which is not cheap. I find this interesting, though, that select media and creators will be attending a Nintendo Switch 2 hands-on event next week. I've actually heard that as well, but I have some somewhat shocking news to you guys. I was not invited, and I know that may come as a surprise because Nintendo loves me, but I was not invited to any sort of meetup to try the Switch 2 hands-on and check out some of the games. I'm sure there'll be lots of red tape and like what you can and can't show and stuff like that. I would like the opportunity. Maybe I wouldn't even take the opportunity to go, but it would have been nice to have been invited. You know, don't expect me to show up. You can invite me somewhere. But yeah, so I have heard rumblings that there is an event happening like right after the direct within a few days. So that actually aligns with things that I've heard as well. But I find this very interesting to kind of have these be the plans, alleged plans for the Nintendo Switch 2 loadout. Like, I get it. You don't want to have too many games available at launch because obviously not everyone can buy every game. But I always feel like people are going to buy what they want to buy. They're going to experience games that, especially if they only owned a Nintendo Switch. You got to remember, there was a lot of like more casual people who just bought a Switch, and a lot of people buy Nintendo hardware just to play first-party Nintendo games. So if they only bought a Switch last generation, there's a bunch of great third-party games that they missed out on that I feel like companies are going to want to be there on day one and within that launch window to have these games running on the Switch 2 to show not only the capabilities, but to make some easy money. Like, people are going to be interested. Think about it like this. Like, if a game like Resident Evil 2 comes out, or Resident Evil 4, the remake, come out on the Nintendo Switch 2, people are going to be interested to see how that runs. Games like Elden Ring, games like, you know, Metal Gear Solid Omega, whenever that comes out later on this year, people are going to be very interested to see how the Switch 2 handles games like this in terms of graphics, in terms of performance. So there's going to be lots of coverage on this channel about this because I've got my wallet ready to start buying up all these games when they come out, because I know you guys are going to be interested to see the performance, not so much if the game is good or not, because it's already established, but it's the performance aspect that I think is going to be very, very interesting and very, very fun to cover. So, you know, I think there's some truth within this. I think smaller third-party developers, indie developers probably don't have a dev kit, but I don't, you know, your Capcoms, your Square, I'm expecting Square Enix and Capcom to be there heavy on day one. I think EA is going to be there heavy on day one too, but you know, Japanese primary developers, third-party developers, bro, they're going to be firing on all cylinders for this thing because the Switch 1 was so hot in Japan, but some of those games they couldn't bring over. Now they could bring those games over, bro. They're going to be swimming in some cash money because I'm going to buy the games and test them out for you guys. Like, I probably already played the third-party games that I'm super interested in, but it's about performance, about visual quality, and it's about seeing what the Nintendo Switch 2 can handle. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of this alleged plan? Do you think that there are third-party developers out there that do have dev kits, or are they all waiting for June? Because, spoiler alert, they're not all waiting for June. Like I can say that with confidence. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Things are going to be getting very hectic. It's getting kind of hectic. It's getting kind of hectic within the next few days, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to it because it's going to be very, very fun, and I want you guys along on this Switch 2 related journey. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.